Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into one of the most complex and fascinating creation myths in gaming, the actual birth of Tamriel in the Elder Scrolls universe. Now, I've been playing these games for years, and when I finally went down the lore rabbit hole, I realized this isn't just fantasy world building, this is philosophy. We're talking about concepts borrowed from Gnosticism, Buddhist cosmology, even quantum mechanics. I would like to mention that this is my own interpretation, thanks to data available on the internet, as well as the varying narrative forms of video games. Others can interpret the plots in a different way. So let's unpack how Tamriel came to exist, from absolute nothingness to the world we explore in the games. At the very beginning, just to start off stylishly, there were two fundamental forces, Anu and Padomay. These aren't gods or beings as per se, they're more like cosmic principles. Anu represents stasis, order, unchanging infinity. His brother, Padomay, represents chaos, change, limitation, action. What's brilliant here is this isn't good versus evil. It's more like Taoist philosophy. These opposing forces create existence through their interaction. Neither can exist meaningfully without the other. From their conflicts or their union, depending on which text you read, emerges Nier, a third entity sometimes described as creation itself. The Annotated Anuad tells it like a mythological story. Both forces loved Nier, she chose Anu, so Padomay killed her in rage, and from her shattered body came the 12 worlds of creation. But here's the thing, different cultures in Tamriel remember this differently, and that's intentional. The lore acknowledges that creation myths are attempts to explain something beyond mortal comprehension. And that's what makes Elder Scrolls lore so sophisticated. From this primordial event comes the Orbis, the universe itself, and within it, consciousness emerges as the Aedra, the original spirits. These beings are made of either Anuic or Padomaic energy, or some combination of both. They're the first entities with anything resembling awareness. They exist in what's called the Dawn Era, and this is where it gets complicated. The Dawn Era is before linear time. Events don't happen in sequence, they exist in superposition. Past, present, and future are all happening simultaneously. Some at Aedra remember things that haven't occurred yet. Causality is non-linear. Michael Kirkbride, one of the main lore writers, described it as a state where all possibilities exist at once until they collapse into a single timeline. It's quantum mechanics applied to cosmology, and it's genuinely mind-bending. So you have these infinite immortal spirits floating in timeless existence. Then comes Magnus the Architect with a revolutionary idea. What if we create something finite, something with rules, with mortality, with death? This is essentially an act of kenosis, divine self-emptying. The Aedra would have to sacrifice their infinite nature to create a mortal plane. So we might ask at this point, why would immortal beings agree to this? We meet Lorkhan, also called Shor, Shazar, Sep, depending on the culture. Lorkhan took Magnus's vision and convinced other Aedra to participate. And here's the eternal question. Did he deceive them? Or did he genuinely believe mortality was more meaningful than infinite stasis? The Altmer or High Elves see Lorkhan as a trickster who robbed them of divinity. The Nord see him as a hero who gave humanity freedom through mortality. After hundreds of hours in these games, I think both are true. Lorkhan understood the cost, but believed existence with death is more meaningful than existence without consequence. So creation begins. The Aedra pour their essence into Mundus, the mortal plane. At its center is Nirn, and on Nirn is Tamriel. But as they work, the participating Aedra, now called the Aedra, our ancestors, begin to weaken drastically. Magnus realizes the full implications and tears open a hole through reality, creating the sun, and escapes back to Aetherius, the immortal plane. His followers create the stars as they flee. So in Elder Scrolls, when you look at the night sky, you're seeing holes in reality through which magical energy pours into the world. The remaining Aedra are too weak to leave. They become the 8 divines, Akatosh, the dragon god of time, Arche, god of life and death, Dibella, beauty and love, Julianos, logic and wisdom, Kinnereth, nature and the winds, Mara, compassion, Stendar, justice, and Zenithar, work and commerce. They're trapped now, their power distributed across all of reality. Meanwhile, the Et'ada who refused to participate, the Daedric princes, kept their full power by staying in Oblivion, the chaotic plane of existence that surrounds the mortal realm of Mundus, basically unnumbered dimensions and pocket realms. The 17 Daedric princes, like Mehrunes Dagon, Sheogorath, Azura, Molagbal, and the others, remained infinite and alien because they never sacrificed anything. That's why they're so incomprehensible and dangerous. What happens next is called the Convention, the single most important moment in history. It's literally the first moment of linear time. The Aedra convene at Adamantine Tower and put Lorkhan on trial. Led by Trinimech, they find him guilty of causing the fall from divinity. The punishment is brutal. They rip out his heart. Trinimech shoots it across the continent where it lands in Vardenfell, creating the Red Mountain. Lorkhan's body is destroyed, but his spirit can't be eliminated because he's woven into Mundus itself. He becomes the missing god, the empty seat in the Pantheon. When you visit Sovngarde in Skyrim and see Shor's throne sitting empty, that's not just a design choice. It's because the god who created mortality can't physically exist anymore. The Heart of Lorkhan becomes this incredibly powerful artifact that will cause problems for thousands of years. In Morrowind, the entire main quest revolves around it, but I won't go into the specific actions of the game any further than that. The Tribunal achieved godhood by tapping into the heart. The Dwemer tried to use it to build a brass god and vanished from existence entirely. With creation complete, mortal life emerges. The most diminished Et'ada became the Elnofey, the Earth Bones. These spirits became the laws of physics themselves. Gravity exists because a spirit became gravity. This is such a brilliant inversion. Gods didn't just create nature, they became nature through ultimate sacrifice. But some Elnofey kept consciousness and became mortal races. Those who stayed in one place, who clung to memories of divinity, became the ancestors of Mer. The elven races like Altmer, Dunmer, Bosmer. Those who wandered and adapted became the ancestors of men, Nords, Imperials, Redguards, Bretons. This explains the fundamental ideological split in Tamriel. Elves view creation as tragedy, a fall from grace. Their culture aims at reclaiming lost divinity. Humans view mortality as freedom, as the chance to forge meaning. Neither is wrong, it's just a completely different metaphysical orientation. The beast races, Khajiit and Argonians, have different origin stories entirely, suggesting multiple paths to mortal existence. As Nirn stabilizes, metaphysical structures called towers emerge. These aren't just buildings as you may imagine, they're pillars holding reality together. Adamantine Tower in High Rock is the oldest, the site of convention itself. Red Mountain became a tower with Lorkhan's heart as its stone. White Gold Tower in Cyrodiil, Crystal Tower in Somerset, Green Sap in Valenwood, Snowthroat in Skyrim. Each one anchors reality in its region. When towers fall, reality becomes unstable. By the 4th era during Skyrim, most towers have fallen or are compromised. So, mortality isn't a punishment, it's the entire point. The world exists because infinite beings chose to become finite. Death exists so life can have meaning. Time flows so change is possible. Every conflict in Elder Scrolls traces back to this. When elves and humans fight, they're not just fighting over territory, they're fighting over the fundamental value of existence itself. The Daedric princes are alien and dangerous because they never participated in creation. They're still operating on Dawn-era logic where causality is optional. The Aedra are distant and silent because they exhausted themselves creating the world. And Lorkhan, the missing god, is simultaneously the villain who stole immortality and the hero who gave existence meaning. Both perspectives are true. That's the creation of Tamriel, from primordial dualism through divine sacrifice to mortal existence. What makes this lore exceptional is how it turns typical fantasy tropes on their head. Gods don't rule from on high. They became the world through irreversible sacrifice. When you're playing Skyrim or Oblivion, you're walking on the bones of dead gods. That mountain isn't just geology, it's the site of a divine execution. Those stars aren't just pretty, they're wounds in reality left by fleeing spirits. Understanding this doesn't just make the games more interesting, it makes them philosophically richer. Bethesda buried profound metaphysical questions in optional books and environmental storytelling, and that's masterful design. Let me know what aspect of Elder Scrolls lore you want explored next. The Daedric princes, dragon breaks, the different cultural mythologies, there's an endless universe to explore here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.